Hey everybody, welcome back to the garage. Today we're going to be working on the TJ. We got us engine or transmission mount. This should be the same process, automatic, standard, they take the same mount. They're lined up differently, possibly on 4-cylinder versus 6-cylinder, but still same thing the whole way through. This one's a Power Torque brand. Bought it at O'Reilly's, and let's see about installing that guy. Things we're gonna need: I got the Jeep already up on jacks. Gonna need a creeper. We're going to need our new mount. We're gonna get our impact. An assortment of sockets. Not sure actually if this would be standard or metric. I'm assuming metric, but we're going to take both sets and make sure. A hammer, because you just never know. And a couple of prying devices. Alrighty. Going to use a floor jack to temporarily hold up the transmission. I may need it, I may not. I don't know yet. We'll know more here once I get under there. So we'll take you guys underneath. And under we go. Under here, do a little bit of reconditioning. Alright, so now you guys can probably see this is the mount that we're after, and it's actually in there that way. So we're going to try to take the nuts off of those studs first. Appears to be 13 millimeter. There's one. There's two. Three, and four. Okay, and then there's 4 more bolts up above. We're going to get some wrenches. So the reason we're doing this is this mount here, the metal strap that goes through it is actually broken on this one, or improperly installed. Either way, I gotta take it out to fix it. So we're just going to replace it. But it's letting the transmission waller back and forth under heavy load a little bit, which is moving the whole drive train, wiggles. And when it does that, you can feel it in the rear drive shaft. Eventually it's just going to break loose and just things move everywhere, and we don't need that. So we're doing a little preventative maintenance here. Now another way to go about this, which may be simpler, is you just, now that I have these bolts out, you take the 6 bolts out of here and you drop this pan. And that lets you get to these next bolts easier. Bolt the new piece in, bolt the pan back on. But this has a lowering kit on it, which lowers this down due to the lift kit on the suspension, which should give me enough room that I can run a jack up through this hole back here against the tail shaft and actually lift the transmission up, letting me enough room to pull that out of there. We'll know if it works or not here in a minute. We may be dropping the pan anyway. But we're going to try this first. Alright, we have a winner, 15 millimeter. Well, things are creaking. So that's either a good thing or a bad thing. So one turn at a time, we'll get this out of here. I'm not going to bore you guys. I'll let you know when we get them out, or if we run into anything weird. Alright, I got the two off on this side. I ended up using a swivel-headed ratchet with a real thin 15 millimeter socket, and I was able to get up in there and get this side. Also, just because I think it'll make life easier, there's carriage bolts going up through here and through a bottom plate that these bolts go into. I'm going to pull it off also. The bolts are coming out and they're not fighting me. And then that's one less stud that I got to fight things off of later. So we're just going to do that as well. So they're actually coming out that easy, and this is, say, one of the rustier Jeeps, so if mine come out, yours will come out. Big thing I'm figuring is the more bolts that I have out of this, the easier it'll be to slide it in and out of here for removal. And just want to hold up on these so they're not spinning. See, the last thing you want to do is log out that hole. Alright, until you get her loose enough, you can just do it that way. Alright, I got one more of those. Alright, I'm going to shut you guys off so I can get moved over there. Alright, got my arm up through from the back side to get to this one. And that one's out. Now, I gotta get these bolts out. Kind of suspected would be a pain in the butt because this side has the mount for the exhaust catalytic converter in the way, so you gotta kind of work around it, which really doesn't help anything. Alright, see, we got some of these bottom bolts out. We're gonna try jacking up the transmission pad. To do that, I'm going to use my floor jack as blocking. And stick the top of this one through here. There's a hole here. I don't really want to push up on the yoke on the back of the transmission because bad things can ensue from that as well. We're going to slide this over here. Bring you guys over so you can see what's going on here. So what we got is our jack. So you could do this with blocking. It was just easier to use this coming up through here, and there's this little tang that sticks out here. You can put your jack right underneath it and just lift up on it. You don't want to go too much, just enough to do what you got to do. Being sure not to crush anything in bad places. Alright, now you can see, if I can get the light down here, which I have it wrapped around almost everything at this point. Alright, now you can see we got a space in here. This is that lower plate that we're unbolting. This is the piece we want to replace. I got a bolt here and one further back I got to get out yet. But now that I lifted that up, I can actually get to them. So we'll get those out and we'll be back. So I jacked her up a little bit more. Now I can get this guy out of there, which is kind of angled the one direction, so you want to make sure you put it back in the right way. We're still working on these last two bolts. There we go. Got all that one. Holy cow. Somebody wanted them to stay. There we go. Now we got her loose. Switching between short and long 15 millimeters. Try to get the best angle I can on this thing. You can't run the long one too long or you run it into the belly pan. Alrighty, that nut's off. One more to go and then we're apart. Yay! See if we can get up on it. Nope, gonna have to use a longer one. I think a medium length one would be good, but you gotta have a thin wall, I think. Makes a difference as well. Yeah, I don't know why them ones are way tighter than the other ones. Alright, this went too far. We're not going to be able to get that out of there. Switch back to the shorter socket. Alright, that nut's out. Now that guy can fall out of there. You can see why I was bringing this out, because if the rubber fails, this metal bracket going across here is the only thing that holds you together. And for some reason, this one's busted, which is telling me that something was loose here at some point. I don't see anything loose currently, but either way, good time to get rid of that. Alright, goes to rag. Apparently they had boogered up the oil pan on this thing or something and leaked fluid everywhere. At some point they ran over something because I got a dent in the oil pan and a dent right here, and there's a little bit of a dent here. I don't know if that was all what went on here, but the transmission has been out of it at some point. Before I had it. Wipe up some of this excess oil. Okay. And that's it for dismantling. Now we can grab our new mount. I don't believe there's any difference front or back which way you mount this. It appears to be a even spacing. So So we'll take it and we'll slide it up in here. We'll start some bolts on it. At least I think I'm starting my bolts on it. There we go. Or nuts, that is. Grab the other two. And the last one. All right, we're going to bolt that top piece down tight. And then we'll go to the next pieces. So I'll get that bolted in and we'll be back. Now bolting this back in is going a lot better because the rubber isn't all spewed out around the edges. So there's actually more room for me to get my socket up in, which is going way faster than dismantling. This being a 97, that's several years of this thing going down the road and beating up on that poor rubber. And I'm sure having a trans drop, pan drop here, just put some extra wear on it that it wouldn't have in its normal orientation. It's only got a little over 100,000 on it, but it's had oversized tires on its entire life, working extra hard to turn all that extra stuff in the lift kit, and things aren't quite factory spec. And you're just going to want to get these good and tight. Alrighty, those are tight. Now we'll get our other bracket, which is also pretty oily. Oily, greasy, grimy. Go for guts. Get some of that scraped off. Give our new mounting plate a new nice clean surface to mount to. Rubber off a little bit. Strapping dirt in between this stuff only causes future you problems. Alright, we'll slide this into place. These bolts go up through the bottom. We'll do those first because they have to go in a certain spot. The other bolts actually have slots that they lower down into, which gives you a lot more leeway. To make things adjust and fit if need be. Put all these in first. That way everything has no choice but to line up. Gotta remember which size socket these. Take the smaller one. Yes, 13s. Yep, 13. Alright, so I'll get those tightened up and I'll bring you guys back. Something I should mention, you want to keep, same as taking apart, keep tension up on the carriage bolt heads so you don't strip it out, because if you strip it out, there's no way to hold it to loosen it or tighten it short of welding it to the pan. Just a nice steady push on it, and once she starts getting tight, you can let go of it and crank her down. Alright, I get the other three. Now the next thing, we need to lower the transmission back into place. So I'm going to lay here where I can look up in my holes. Take my jack handle, or my jack. I should let the transmission drop into these slotted holes, which it is. Everybody's back into place. Slid back, that gets pulled out. And we'll put these 4 nuts back in. And we're done. Get each one of these started. Now I'm doing it this way because I know many of you are probably afraid to take this pan off if you live in the Rust Belt like me, because the press-in nuts that hold this into the frame like to spin and screw up, and it can turn into a whole day project taking this pan off up here in Rust Land. I know that because I've done that with this one. I actually put inserts inside the frame so that they screw up into that, and I don't have the normal inserts. I actually have plates inside of there that I threaded that this bolts into, so I could drop this pretty easily. But I wanted to show you guys how to do this if you're afraid to take the pan off. Around them all, make sure we got them. And voila, we're done. So, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. I hope. And the battery died on me. Just as I was saying in my outro, you all have a good one. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps somebody. And like, subscribe, all them fun things. It helps. All the ones of you that have subscribed, thank you very much. We've hit 500 subscribers now. Pretty awesome. And thank you. Alrighty, we'll see you in the next one.